Testing.
Testing, testing.
I can hear you in mine.
Okay, so I can hear you.
Okay, maybe it's actually this headset he's talking about. All right, everybody, welcome to day 2 of Raw Nationals 2025 here in Atlanta, Georgia. We are getting started today. All right, I'm not sure if we have that camera up, but we're following on that LiftingCast right now, so if anyone else wants to follow along, pull up LiftingCast and look for Raw Nationals Day 2. My name is Katie DeGuider, and I am here with Tong.
Good morning, everybody. We're excited here for a great day of powerlifting. These are some of the strongest women in the country, and today they're going to be showing off months and months of training, and we're excited.
See, this session, and on our platforms 3 and 4, we've got our 65 kilo women today. I don't think he can't hear me. Talk.
All right, we are starting here with some action on platform 4. We've got Haley and Kiara starting with 2 good attempts.
And then on platform 3, we've gotten started. We're about 5 lifters into that flight. We've got Hannah and Stacy with good lifts, but Kendra did not get a good lift. We unfortunately cannot see the live stream on our end right now, but one thing you can do on LiftingCast is actually look at the calls that were made. And so from the looks of it, she got 2-1 no lift with 2 red cards. So Tom, what do those red cards mean for a no lift?
Well, when you are squatting, the biggest thing with a red card is it's going to be depth, right? So you're going to see here with depth, different athletes are going to have a different level of confidence as far as their ability to execute. We see Kendra go here, 7.5 kilo jump after that call. Considering she already got 1 white light, maybe just a little bit more confident into the sink, and she'll be able to get that on her second attempt and still go up.
Yeah, and so especially once you're at that national level, like, you kind of are more in tune with yourself, and you know that, okay, I can sink it a little bit more, and if I can do that, then I can go up to my planned second still. So if that planned second is something that she can hit any day of the week, she just needs to sink it a little bit more to get those white lights from the refs.
Absolutely.
Other than that, though, I'm seeing a lot more green on the board, especially on platform 4 today. We had Ella with a good lift of 115 kilos for her opener.
And we're seeing here, folks, a lot of easy openers. It's really important when you're at a meet like this. You know, you've got 9 attempts in front of you. Make that first one nice and easy. Everything you need to get yourself in the meet as far as the squats go. Set yourself up for a good day.
All right, and it looks like same thing on platform 4 with Chloe. She had that 2-1 no lift with red cards for depth. And we'll see if she goes for a similar strategy. We can actually see on the LiftingCast what they put in for their second attempt. So, all right, and then on platform 3, we had another 2-1 no lift, except I believe that one was a yellow card and a blue card. Oh, looks like she got one of every card. So that could be a lot of different things. Some of the most common infractions on these different color cards, we can talk about this blue card that you guys might see. And if you're following along, you might see a color underneath, like a red light, and that's what we're talking about. So if we see something that's blue, it could mean that there was either some downward motion in the bar or that they locked out with some potentially soft knees. So just got to make sure that they lock out all the way. And then, Tom, what do some of those yellow cards potentially mean?
So a yellow card is going to be more of a catch-all card as opposed to the red and the blue. Most of it is going to be with the following referee's commands. So that's stepping back, not adhering to the racking command. The lifters can also get them for failing to observe the initial squat command as well. And then any sort of stepping back, kind of uncleanliness of the lift in performance, that's going to be what the yellow card is.
All right, and then it looks like Chloe on platform 4, she opted to just retake that 120, which that can be a pretty common strategy for missing on depth as well. You want to make sure that you get at least one number on the board. You need at least one squat, one bench, and one deadlift to get a total in this meet. So if she wasn't confident in going up and being able to hit that any day of the week, she opted to just retake that 120, sink it a little bit lower, and then hopefully be able to go up again from there.
And like we said, folks, it's very important to get on the board at this meet. There's a lot of pressure on these lifters. They've worked very hard and dedicated a lot to this. Sometimes you don't want to go up just to make sure that you do get that squat. If squat isn't your best lift, it's not your most confident lift, or maybe your training wasn't going well, just repeating that opening attempt, getting something on the board is sometimes the best option to start your day.
All right, we are already back up to the top on platform 3. Looks like we've got a really short flight on that platform. And unfortunately, no lift for Hannah. Again, we unfortunately cannot see what's going on our end, but it looks like it could have just been through 3 yellow cards, so it could have been a lot of different things. But so far, a lot of green on platform 4. It's looking like slowly moving through towards the end of that flight.
For the most part here, a very clean start to the day for platform 4. We're seeing something similar on platform 3, a couple misses, but people feeling confident to go up or repeat.
All right, and then on this squat lift, there are 3 commands that these lifters, or 2 commands that these lifters need to follow. So there's only 2, squat and rack. So what this means is the lifter is going to unrack the bar, walk it out on their own, and then get into their starting position. Once the refs see that they are in their correct starting position, so they have their knees are fully locked out, they are in an upright position, they have a closed grip around the bar, and they stand and they look like they're ready about to squat, the head ref is going to say squat. From there, they can start their descent, go down, come back up. They don't need to pause on the bottom or anything like that. Once they're back up and they've returned to that starting position, so they locked out their knees in an upright position, they will get that rack command. And then that's when they can rack back into the bar. So unfortunately, some lifters can kind of get in their head and forget about these commands. Even at that national level, there can be some nerves, especially when you're on the big stage here. So unfortunately, we have been seeing that already in this meet so far, but hopefully not much more today.
And we are starting second attempts here on platform 4. Both these platforms are moving pretty quick right now. I know platform 3 has got a bit of a shorter flight. Again, these lifters have been training for months, so that little reduction in time in between attempts, they're here and prepared to handle that. And we're actually starting pretty well here on platform 3.
And it looks like Kendra made the right choice. Jumping from 135 to 142, she made that lift. She got a 2-to-1 good lift, so she did still get 1 red for depth, but the 2 other refs said good lift, so that is all you need. You only need 2 white lights for it to be a good lift. And it looks like we're getting some other green on the board as well with Anna. She opted to retake that 140, also getting a good lift, getting that number on the board. Still have a couple other people that need to make sure we get a number down, so hopefully we can have a good squat session with everyone getting at least 1 on the board. Hopefully not to jinx it.
And one thing, folks, about LiftingCast, like we mentioned earlier, when you are watching based on the sort of jumps they're taking, right? So Anna, for example, missed that opener. I like it to take it back on the second, and then went ahead and jumped 12.5 right after that second attempt. That's actually the biggest jump that we've seen so far. So obviously maybe a slight technical error. When you're squatting in the gym and then trying to bring that into a meet, it's hard because you can train to a great standard, but you have to let 3 referees judge your lift for you. So sometimes it just takes one to really get the feel of competing with 9 eyes on you. Yeah, we see there.
There can be a lot of give and take with taking these big jumps. If you make that big jump, if you make like a 10-kilo jump to your 3rd attempt, and you make it, you're setting yourself up really good to not be as fatigued going to that 3rd attempt. But if you don't make it, then you're missing out on 10 kilos towards your total when you could have maybe taken 5 kilos and then gotten those. Because how you win these meets is just putting together the biggest total you can, getting as many lifts as you can, and the bigger attempts that you make in the end, if you don't make those are what's really going to affect your total in the end. And all these girls are, they're at nationals. They're trying to get themselves as highest ranked as they can. You can only do that by putting together that big total.
Absolutely.
All right, so we've got Chloe. Unfortunately, no lift for her 2nd attempt, retaking 120. Yeah, not exactly sure why she missed that since we don't have eyes on the platform right now, but 3 reds could typically mean a failure on strength or missing on commands, really anything. It looks like she's opting to retake it again for her 3rd, so she's still got one more chance to get a squat on the board for today.
Yeah, something to note as well with Chloe. I mean, she got 3 yellow cards. I don't want to assume the worst, but 1 infraction on a yellow card is just a complete failure of a lift. So hopefully everything's going well over there, and they're able to come back and get this on the 3rd. We're wrapping up platform 3, here with Allie. And again, with that note about LiftingCast, you're going to be able to see everyone's 3rds. Most lifters, they're coming into the day with a planned range for their 3rd or a planned number, again, just based off their training and what they've done in the past meets. And so it looks like for the most part, everyone here is following their plan, and we're going to see everyone's 3rds here in a second.
Well, I think it's interesting to look. It looks like Anna's plan might have been a little bit derailed by missing that 1st attempt. She retook it for her 2nd, and then she's now making a 12.5 kilo jump to her 3rd squat. Now, that's not a common jump size that you're going to see in some of these like mid-weight, lighter weight-ish women. So hopefully she's comfortable doing that jump and she can get those kilos back that she missed by missing that opener. And as you can see, some of the more average jump sizes that we're seeing are like 5 kilos, 7.5. So that's why that 12.5 kilo jump is a little bit shocking to see, and I'm excited to see how this plays out for her.
Hannah comes back on her 3rd attempt to get that 127.5 kilo squat. Great job there retaking that 2nd. We're going to see if Layla can do the same thing right here.
And it looks like, at least on platform 3, everyone that missed an opener got a number on the board. So far, Fly A for platform 3 is looking good. Everyone has gotten a squat. Even if you only get 1, that's all you need.
Yeah, 3 red cards there for Layla.
Unfortunately, that would have been a miss on depth from all 3 judges. Carly on platform 4, also, fortunately, 3 red cards from all 3 judges on depth. Same thing, I wonder, it looks like she's going to retake 150, which that's always the safe move to play, especially, maybe if you're not exactly battling head-to-head against someone and you're just trying to put together the best total for yourself, it could always be safest to just retake that and get that number. And a lot of people are opting to retake because you actually cannot go any lower than you went for your 2nd attempt. So, say Carly, she took 140 for her 1st attempt, 150 for her 2nd. She's not allowed to say, oh, I couldn't do 150, let's go back down to 145. She has to take at least 150, cannot go any lower.
Right, folks. Yeah, the rules of powerlifting here, I mean, every single attempt that you go up, you have to present risk. You're getting the opportunity to build on your total, but, you know, there's got to be some risk with it, so you cannot come down after a failed attempt. We have here on platform 3 our first 3-for-3 squat session with Stacy. Really, there's no better way to start the day than going 3-for-3 on squats. It really sets up your day nicely. No failed attempts. There's not that extra, strain on the body, and you're able to walk in the bench with a clear mind.
Now, how are you exactly feeling if you're going in the bench and you didn't really have the best squat session? Like, what do you think is going through your mind in that situation?
Depending on a lifter's goals, there are lifters that take a lot of stock in their squat, or maybe it's their biggest lift. It can be a little disappointing to walk away with a subpar, suboptimal squat session, but you always got to remember there's 6 more attempts ahead of you. Powerlifting is the combination of 3 different lifts, 3 different attempts, right, in each lift, and so you have to focus on what's in front of you. If you're competing for a placing, getting the best total possible is still the goal. And at national meets, even though everyone is supposed to be at their best, and these are the best of the best, that pressure gets to people, and not everyone makes a perfect day. So you have to be able to make sure you're in the game, focusing on what's in front of you, and seeing how the day plays out.
Yeah, and especially like how squat goes for someone could very easily affect how they decide to change their game plan up for bench and deads. If maybe deadlift is someone's like main lift for them, if squat doesn't go as planned, maybe they want to be a little bit more aggressive in deads and plan on going a little bit higher to kind of make up some of that weight that they lost out on. All right, and then on platform 4, we are back to the top with 3rd squat attempts. So we're gonna see all these ladies come back out for their 3rd attempts, trying to wrap up the squat session for them. Something we're keeping our eye on is Chloe, who unfortunately missed her first 2 attempts, is retaking 120 for her 3rd attempt, and she needs this to get a total.
We are starting to finish up here on platform 3 as well. We've got Anna taking that big jump to 152.5. We're going to see that populate here on our board very soon. Again, a really big jump after that repeat opener on the 2nd attempt. See how that plays out for them. 3 white lights, good lift.
All right, and we're starting 3rd attempts off on platform 4 well, with Haley making her 3rd attempt of 110, another first 3-for-3 squats on this platform. A lot more green on this platform so far, so hopefully there'll be a lot more of that to come for platform 4.
Yeah, we've got Michelle taking platform 3 right now, 155 kilos. Flight A coming up here with Adrienne.
All right, Chloe looks like she is going out now for her 3rd attempt of 120. She needs this to get a total and to stay on the board for the meet today, so good luck to her. We can only see the lights and the ref's decisions back here, so hopefully she can get this on the board. All right, and unfortunately there was a no lift for...
Oh, good lift for Chloe.
Oh, wow, yeah. She got 2-to-1, good lift, 1 red card for depth. So good lift for Chloe. She got that squat on the board, and she can now go ahead and continue on in that meet. And it looks like we finished up 3rd squats for platform 3, and we're now back to the top with the 2nd round of women for that flight B. So opening up this session, we have 70 kilos on the bar.
Yeah, and this flight right here, ladies and gentlemen, on platform 3, and I believe on platform 4, we're going to see some of our team lifters. One of the best parts about Raw Nationals here in the USAPL is we're going to highlight a lot of the young talents, young passionate lifters who are in the sport, reaching a national level competition, early on in their lifting careers. This is a great time for them to really get acquainted with the pressure and excitement that comes with these meets, and we hope that they're long-time contributors of the federation and the sport.
I think one of the really cool parts, like you said, is not only seeing the teen lifters, but seeing the masters lifters here as well. When I was watching this meet yesterday, we were talking about how most of these masters lifters are older than my parents, and I think it's so crazy sometimes, because I think my parents personally think that they are way too old to powerlift, but you come here and you can see some masters lifters like well into their 60s and 70s, and then seeing that up against the teen lifters really just highlights like how powerlifting really is for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. As much as Raw Nationals is the national competition, right, deciding who are the best lifters in every weight class and every age division, it's a celebration of our sport, it's a celebration of our federation, and so pooling together all of these lifters of different weight classes, different ages, it's truly meant to celebrate everything that's happened with the federation this year and celebrate these lifters and contributors. So we're continuing to finish up here on platform 4, flight A. Again, very clean session so far. A few lifters having some issues with technical mistakes, but most of these lifters look to be on pace to finish 3 for 3. We've got Emma on platform 3, flight 2, opening with 102.5 kilos. That's a good lift for Emma on platform 3. And we've got Whitley on platform 4, taking 152.5.
Yeah, so unfortunately that looked like it was a fail on strength for her, so good catch from those spotters, keeping her safe out there.
And that is a good lift for Whitley. Again, 3 for 3, really good start to the day. Starting to finish up here on platform 4, ladies and gentlemen. Got Tatum taking 157.5 kilos. 2 reds on depth. One thing to take into account is, like I said earlier, with the confidence that these lifters have based on how big of a jumps they're taking. When a lifter takes a 2.5 kilo jump, 5 kilo jump, the confidence for maybe a bigger number isn't there. But also in losing that attempt, you have to realize they don't lose that much as far as their total. So obviously at these lower weight classes, a couple kilos here and there is huge for the total, but you have to walk away knowing that there's more opportunities to continue building on what you have.
Yeah, and sometimes, especially if you're making that smaller jump, if you're making like a, say, 2.5 or 5 kilo jump and you miss that, then you can truly walk away knowing that like you left out everything that you had on the platform. Didn't leave too much strength out there, say, versus if you were taking a 10 kilo jump and knew that you would have had it if you took a 5 kilo jump instead.
Absolutely.
All right, Hope is rounding out the flight with a 172.5 kilo squat.
We have Helena on platform 3. Yeah, second to last squat here on the openers. 140 kilos as a team 3 lifter. It's a good lift for Helena.
All right, now it's fortunately no lift for Hope, but that does mean that we are back to the top for the next flight on platform 4. Starting out the flight with 40 kilos for Celeste. It looks like Celeste is one of our Masters lifters today. It looks like we've got quite a few Masters lifters in this session, so like I said, highlighting how powerlifting really is for everyone. On platform 3, we have a lot of our teen lifters, while on platform 4, we've got a lot of our Masters, all in the same weight class, all in the same competition.
We're at the top on platform 3. Amika failed the first attempt there of 70 kilos. I believe I can see here what the fractions were for. Okay, so probably depth there for Amika. Again, 5 kilo jump, feeling confident to just bring that back, get something on the board. Especially when you're a younger lifter, having to squat in front of the judges can be a little challenging, can be a little nerve-wracking, but your coach giving you the confidence to be like, hey, let's still go up, let's still try for a little bit more. That can give a young lifter a lot of confidence as far as taking the bar in the second attempt.
Yeah, and it looks like on platform 4, Celeste unfortunately got no lift. She got 3 blue cards. So a blue card can mean downward motion, and from the looks of it, she kind of double bounced in that bottom, which would unfortunately be a blue card, because once you get down to the lowest part of your squat, you have to travel fully up from there. So if you go up, bounce back down a little bit, and then come to the top, that would unfortunately be a no lift. But it looked super easy for her, and it looks like she's retaking that for her second attempt. So she will be back for that and just needs to clean that up a little bit.
And Samantha's taking 97.5. 3 red cards there.
So unfortunately, again, those 3 red cards would mean a death call, and it looks like she's going to retake that for her third attempt.
Yeah, and she's got that really narrow squat stance. It's really hard to find the right point to get down to when you're squatting. She's going to need to be a little bit more deep, but we'll see her take that back on her third attempt.
Yeah, some more death calls, unfortunately, on platform 4 for Lisa. One thing that I've noticed, as a ref myself, who has refed a lot of youth meets and been there for a lot of Masters meets, I think it's funny how a lot of the youth lifters will have problems with maybe squatting too far down, or it seems like they're about to sit on the floor. And then some Masters lifters, unfortunately, might see some more common depth calls, potentially just having problems getting a little bit lower. So hopefully we don't have any bomb outs on platform 4. Everyone can make that fix. It seems like everyone's going pretty conservative so far. So hopefully some of these depth calls will be easy fixes to come back out and get a little bit lower.
Yeah, a bit of a shaky start for platform 4 so far. Only one person getting their first attempt. Again, you have 3 attempts to put something on the board on every single lift. These ladies are going to come out and try to put something up here soon. We've got a good lift from Emma on platform 3.
And then Jennifer has 105 kilos on the bar for her opener. It looks like that was a good lift for her. All right, it looks like some smart attempt calls are being made. We're looking at that LiftingCast for platform 4. Anyone who has missed a lift so far is just going to retake that for their second attempt. So we'll see these ladies come back out, another chance at that weight that they took at that first attempt. it looks like we've got some 70-kilo women in this class as well. We have that as a recent change to USA Powerlifting. The female weight classes used to be, see, 60 and then 67.5 and then 75 kilos. But that 67 class was one of the largest classes of women, with so many women that didn't actually fill it out. That, on top of there being one less weight class for women than there were men, I think that it was a really good call to go ahead and change that from 67 and 75 to a 60-kilo class, then 65, and then a 70-kilo class. I think women are able to take much better advantage of these classes, and now there are the same amount of classes for women and men, which is always going to be a better advantage to just be able to fill out your weight class a little bit easier, be more competitive, so that you can enjoy the sport but not feel like you need to sit heavier than you're comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you have so many lifters concentrated in a single class, it really, it puts a chokehold on the amount of opportunity that these lifters can have, as well as just grouping in a lot of different lifters who might not, be the best for that weight class, but giving these lifters two different classes now, it really separates the competition. Everyone's going to go where they think they're going to be the strongest, and it really just opens up the door for more competition.
And I think Ronats last year really pointed out that concentration in the 67.5 women's class, because that day of registration for Ronats sold out so insanely fast, and so many of the women that were competing in the class just didn't even fill it out. But there's just so many women that were in that range from 60 to 67.5, really highlighted that we can do lifters better service. All right, unfortunately, that was going to be another no lift for Annie Bryce on platform 3. So it looks like she failed her first attempt. We didn't have eyes on the platform at that point in time. It looks like she got 3 yellow cards. Could have been either a failure on strength or commands. And then for her second attempt, she actually got one of each color. So it looks like she didn't hit depth. I believe I saw a little bit of downward motion, and then another yellow for potentially another infraction.
Yeah, and to be honest, it just sort of looks like the weight might be a little bit too heavy for an opener. She is at least physically completing the lift. Maybe on this third attempt, she can get back to the warm-up room, consult with the coach, maybe get a little bit more water in her, and try to come back out for that third.
Being in that position must be really terrifying, so I'm sure she's doing everything like you said, not only to refuel her body, but to get in that headspace. Depending on what type of lifter she is, she might be hitting salts before that third attempt, putting on her favorite song, getting someone to maybe slap her on the back before she goes out, anything to help her get in that headspace, ready to attack that 142.5 again for her third attempt.
Absolutely. And we just saw Amika on platform 3 run into that same issue, having issues with that depth. Again, a very young lifter. Finding the set points for these sort of things can be a bit challenging for anyone of any experience. However long they've been doing powerlifting, depth is one of those things that is quite challenging, pain in the butt, but definitely a lot of time to grow as a lifter and figure those things out.
And it looks like Rachel wrapped up our wrapped up our openers on platform 4, and we're back up to the top with Celeste. She missed her first attempt of 40, and she's coming back out for it again for that second attempt.
That's 2 white lights. That's a good lift.
So 1 red card for depth, but all you need is 2 white lights, so could always be something to keep in mind, that if you got 1 red card for depth, consult with your coach back there if you need to adjust anything to make sure that that third lift is going to be as promising as it could be and as clear to the judges that you deserve those 3 white lights.
We're on platform 3 here. First 3 lifters have failed their first 3 third attempts. We're going to see if the flight can close out a little bit cleaner, a little bit greener. I think when you're so young and progressing at a rapid rate, or you haven't competed much, it's hard to set an exact plan going into any big meet, taking into account as well these lifters may be a little bit nervous, feeling a little bit inexperienced, and so some of these starts could be shaky, but we're going to see here if they can try to clean up as a flight, finish out a bit stronger.
And one thing that I wonder with all of these teen sessions is how many of these people do have coaches and how many are kind of going by themselves, because I know that's pretty common. I know some people who, if this is one of their first few meets, they might just be doing this on their own, kind of for fun. They make it to the national stage, and if they want to really take it to the next level, they can always find someone to potentially help put together like a better game plan for some of these, like some of these team lifters. They might be taking a little bit too heavy of an opener, and if they have someone to make sure that they can really guide them, put together a solid game plan so that if anything were to go wrong, they can hit that opener clear as day, depth, any day of the week that they need to.
Yeah, it's always good when you're training, even if you are a self-coach or you like to self-coach, just to have another set of eyes on your training, give you ideas to bounce back off, and help keep you accountable. Especially when you're young, I mean, a lot of these lifters are going to get programs from their favorite influencers, from the internet, and follow these and obviously make progress, right, because they're so young. But having another set of eyes just helps you learn as a lifter and put together a better game plan for your performance.
All right, and it looks like Donna on platform 4 came back out for her second attempt and got that 100 kilo on the board. So she will most likely make a jump from there to hopefully get some of that weight back that she missed. But then unfortunately, Lisa before her did not make 55 kilos for her second attempt and has opted to take that for the third time for her third squat. All right, and then Annie, she missed 142.5 for her first two attempts, and she's taken it again for her third. It looks like she had a couple different infractions for her second attempt, and we'll see if she's able to get that for her third. Fortunately, it looks like she got 2 red cards for depth and 1 blue card.
Yeah, so unfortunately, she's still allowed to finish her day, but she won't be able to register a total. At a powerlifting meet, you need to at least register 1 squat. Now, because she is so young, I mean, some lifters, when they do bomb out, they elect to, just kind of go home, just in disappointment. But I mean, I recommend that any lifter, especially starting out so young, I mean, you're at Raw Nationals, you still peak for bench, you still peak for deadlift, you train for months, go out and see what you can do. Take that as information and experience to learn, and go home and try again.
Yeah, and I'm sure it can be really easy to let those emotions get to you and to, kind of just feels like it might ruin the day for you if you stay, but kind of trying to clear your head, have as best of an attitude as you can about it, finishing it out so that you have, say bench and deadlifts do go really well, like you said, that can leave the lifter with a lot better of experience than if they leave here and that day is just forever like stained in their mind.
Yeah, and it's just like a training session. I mean, everyone has had those days where they show up, they're not feeling the best, or they're not executing as they expect. You still do your work, you still finish your session, and you go home and reflect.
And hopefully seeing these calls from the refs will help her understand what kind of has been going wrong and hopefully put together a better performance for the next time. So she knows she needs to squat a little bit lower, not have any bit of downward motion if that was a problem with her lifts.
Yeah, I will say her third attempt looked a lot stronger than the first two. So whatever they figured out in the time between those 2 attempts, definitely reflect on that and just try to come back stronger next time. And as you can see, we're done squatting on platform 3. There's going to be a 10-minute intermission in between the 2 flights as soon as these spotters and loaders set the platform up for the first bench, and then we will get underway. On platform 4, we are finishing up here. Krista is currently under the bar. I can't see the video, but based on how the crowd's reacting, I think she just had a good fight with 142.5. We're gonna see the lights here, but I think that's probably a good lift, judging on their reaction. Yep, 3 white lights, good lift.
All right, rounding out second attempts, we'll have Rachel with 162.5 kilos on the bar. And Rachel is one of our Masters 1 lifters, which is 40 to 49. And you might see something on the bottom, on that left, we can see Stacy coming off her bench. She's a junior lifter, and this is Master 1. All of the different Masters numbers are increasing in age. So for example, if you see Masters 4, that would be 70 to 79. Masters 3 would be 60 to 69, and Masters 2 would be 50 to 59. So keep those in mind when you're seeing these lifters come out. It's no small feat to be coming out as a 70 to 79-year-old at a powerlifting competition.
We are at the top of the board on platform 4. We've got the last third squat attempts of the session. We've got Celeste coming out with 42.5 kilos.
And so as we see, like I just mentioned, Celeste is a Masters 4 lifter. So in that 70 to 79 class, it looks like she decided to only take that 2.5 jump after missing her first attempt. She stayed the same at 40, and then only jumped to 42.5. So maybe not feeling super confident after missing that first attempt. She just wants to get all that she can, and if that means only 2.5 kilos, then that's what she'll take.
Absolutely. That's 3 white lights. Good lift for Celeste.
All right, Eleanor has 55 kilos for her third squat attempt. If she gets this, she will be our first 3 for 3 squat this session.
Great lift, Eleanor.
All right, and now Lisa. This is her third attempt at 55 kilos. Like we said before, she needs this to have a total in the meet. So all she needs is this 55 kilos. She wasn't able to go back down at all, so it has to be 55 or above.
And she needs to stay in the meet, like Katie said. Judging by the crowd reaction, I think that's a good lift. We're going to see here on LiftingCast. Yeah, the lift is good. 3 white lights. She's in the meet. Like we were talking about earlier, folks, it takes a little bit of time to settle into a meet, especially when you're squatting. You haven't been in front of the judges. And sometimes they can take all 3 attempts. As long as you get one, you're in the meet and you're set up for the rest of your day.
Yeah, and so same thing, like we need at least one of these squats. All these lifters are going to need at least one bench and at least one deadlift. So squat can typically be the hardest one to get on the board just because there's so many common infractions like depth and downward motion and soft knees, depth being the most common one. So if you can get yourself at least one squat, you're setting yourself up very well, not to jinx it for anyone, but hopefully everyone else will be able to set themselves up for a good day no bomb outs on this platform so far. Everyone has at least one squat, so everyone is set up to continue on into bench.
Yeah, we just saw Donna. Very nice third attempt of 105 kilos. Deborah's going to come out to 122 and a half. And for the rest of this flight, folks, I mean, these are all masters lifters. They're all squatting right under, at, or above 2 times body weight here. So we've got some really big squats in the building right now.
Yeah, and it looks like took a second for that platform to get set up. We're always waiting on that head ref to make sure that everything is accurate, everything is ready to go. Once they call bars loaded, they have a minute to get that start command. So 1 minute to get unracked, get settled into your proper starting position, and then to get that start command. And it looks like Deborah had a good lift, 2-to-1, 1 red card for depth, but that is all you need. 122.5 kilos for her in a 3-for-3 squat day.
Yeah, that grind was crazy by Deborah. We're going to keep the single screen up for about 3.5 more minutes, and then we're going to start squatting, or start benching, sorry, on platform 3. We're still waiting on platform 4 to finish up. Again, the flight's a little bit longer here.
Unfortunately, no lift for Jennifer, but she still walked away with that 115 kilo squat from her second attempt.
We've got Michelle here with 130 kilos. We're electing to take, the minimum increment of 2.5 from her second attempt. We're going to see how that moves here in a second. Again, 2.5 kilos, that's the lowest increment that you're allowed to take in powerlifting. Most of the time, people are only going to do that if they don't think, there's much more left on the lift, or they're trying to be safe. So this could be a bit of strategy here by Michelle and her coaches. Just have the best day possible.
As Tong said, 2.5 kilos is typically the smallest increment you're allowed to make. You are only allowed to make small increments if you're going for, say, an American record or a world record, and we could potentially see some records in the Masters division. Since we are at Raw Nats, it's very typical to see some American records for these age division lifters.
Yeah, that spot by Michelle was quite easy. I think they were just trying to play it safe there. Make sure we go 3-for-3 on the day. A lot of times too, lifters will take that second attempt. It's a bigger jump than that first, right? And they may feel a bit of nerves, may feel a bit of trouble, and try to take a safer jump. And then the adrenaline, the excitement of having to take a third attempt at nationals kind of takes over, and they're able to power through that, a lot easier than expected. But no matter what, starting 3-for-3, I mean, that's the best possible start to your day.
And I wonder if that was what was going through Rachel's head putting in that third attempt. It looks like she went from 155, made only a 7.5 kilo jump to her second, but she's got a 10 kilo jump loaded up for her third squat.
Yeah, we'll see here. We've got Krista right now. That's a good lift, 3-for-3 for Krista on the day. We've got our heaviest squat of the session, 172.5 kilos. This is more than 2 times her body weight. Well, last squat of the session. Let's go, Rachel. folks, we've got bench returning on platform 3 on your side screen, and that's a good lift by Rachel. Having a great start to her day.
All right, yeah, so we had that 10-minute intermission on platform 3 is now up. You know, giving lifters that little bit extra time to warm up, giving those referees a little bit of a mental break. And we will be starting soon with Stacy, who's opening up the flight at 67.5 kilos. She was the only lifter on her platform in her flight to go 3 for 3 on squat. So hopefully she's setting herself up for a good day. Potentially get another 3 for 3 on bench right now.
For a lot of these lifters going from squat to bench, there's going to be a big change of pace. With the bench press, there are a lot more commands than the other two. There is a start, press, and rack command, as well as having to get set up with the bench as a point of contact. So you're going to see here a lot of these lifters are going to take their time setting up, making sure everything is exactly correct. Any small miscalculation, any mistake in their setup, it could cost them a lift. So you'll just see the pace of everything calm down a little bit more. Lifters are going to be a little bit more focused, more relaxed, trying to make sure their setup is perfect. And you're a pretty good bencher yourself, Katie. What sort of things do you keep in mind on when you're getting ready to bench?
Yeah, so like John kind of mentioned, we've got those points of contacts that are important parts of the bench press. So, you know, I walk out, first thing I do is make sure, well, I always lift a bench with my hair down, so I always flip my hair back behind me, make sure that I'm centered on the pad, and then I actually set up putting my feet up on the bench to really get as high as I can up on my neck, setting my feet down, making sure I'm getting that big leg drive. And then lifters can either have someone help unrack the bar with them, so we'll probably see some of those spotters helping out some of these lifters. I usually opt for a self-unrack, which it looks like Michelle probably does as well. And that can always just help out lifters, like get rid of any other form of uncertainty in their lifts. A bad liftoff can really mess up a lift, and not to say that we have bad liftoffs here, but you know, at a local meet, sometimes you never really know what you're going to get, and it's always better to just narrow down any bit of uncertainty in your lifts, like I said.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you can count on the quality of the liftoff at nationals, you can't always depend on that in training. Or maybe in training, you have a consistent training partner and their liftoffs. You become accustomed to the quality of their liftoff, and just the slight difference in going from person to person, as well as liftoff can be, may mess you up a little bit. So a lot of lifters are going to opt for that self-unrack, sort of keep all the responsibility on them to handle their setup.
I'll say that can be one of the most frustrating parts of training is if you're at a gym, say if you're not exactly an outgoing person, if you don't know anyone and you need an unrack, that can be a pretty annoying part of constantly having to ask someone, or say you go to a smaller gym, there's no one else there and you just can't bench. I'm sure that'd be really frustrating. That all kind of went into reasoning of why I started to just learn how to self-unrack myself.
We're about halfway through our first attempts here on platform 3. Easy start so far. I think of the 3 lifts, you'd never want to start heavy, but if there's one of the lifts that is quite difficult to come back if you take too heavy of an opener, it's definitely got to be the bench press. I think with how technical some of these lifters approach their setup, it's hard to overcome, maybe a slight miscalculation in how strong they are on the day.
One of the big reasonings for that is because you can kind of see, I believe that's one of our national refs, Nicole, you're relying on someone else's press commands. You have to either make sure that you have really solid press commands in your training, but you never know what you're going to get on the day. And so it's always best just go a little bit more conservative on bench, because like we talked about before, you want to get as many attempts as you can. And if you're pushing yourself to hit something that you barely grinded out in training with maybe as like quick of a pause as you could have gotten yourself, realistically that might not be there on the day, which is really unfortunate, but that's kind of just how it goes with this lift sometimes.
Yep, as much as the powerlifting meet is a showcase of your strength, and you're here to compete under the same conditions as everyone else, and those conditions are not necessarily the same, even in training, no matter how hard you try. So just showing up, reacting to what's around you and what other people are experiencing, giving yourself the best day possible, and that's always going to be the focus at a meet.
Looks like we're doing pretty good on bench so far, with all good lifts so far on platform 3. And funny enough, the third bench attempt is one of the most missed lifts in powerlifting, which I believe just comes down to people not holding themselves truly accountable for press commands, maybe loading something that is like really a reach for them, but then they're just not ready for that press command. There's a lot of technical issues that can go wrong in the bench as well. You've got those points of contact, so we need to keep your butt down on the pad, feet flat on the floor, and then your shoulders have to remain on the pad, which I'm sure it'd be really hard to bench and have your shoulders come off of the pad. But got to keep all those points of contact on there for it to be a good lift. And so if you grind your bench at all and your butt pops up, that would unfortunately be a no lift.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Katie said, guys, third bench is the most missed attempt in powerlifting. Big issue with regards to that is just the increment. When you're squatting or deadlifting, a lot of times you're making a decision between a larger range of kilos. You might be thinking, okay, I can go anywhere from 7.5 to, some people even take up to 20, 25 kilo jumps on their squat and deadlift. But on bench, I mean, no matter how strong you are, I mean, a lot of people are condensed down within 10 kilos, right? So if you're making a decision between 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10, obviously the options in front of you are a lot lower than if you're squatting or deadlifting. I mean, as you can see here, going from their openers to their seconds, a lot of these ladies are taking 5 kilos. If you're trying to do the same thing again onto your third, unless your second bench is just magically easier, you're really locked down to 2 decisions, and making it really hard to choose between those 2.
And if any of these second bench attempts are pretty difficult, you have to take at least a 5-pound jump, and that honestly might just be too much for some of these lifters. And so the good thing about it though is if you load that 2.5 jump and it just isn't enough, you know that there's no other jump you could have possibly made, and that was just simply all that you had today.
Yeah, that is a perfect start on platform 3 on bench.
Yeah, all good lifts on this flight for this platform back up to the top, with Stacy made that 5 kilo jump. Looks like everyone is making a 5 kilo jump. Looks like we've got one larger jump from Adrienne, but just about everyone is taking at least 5 kilos to their second bench attempt. Starting out with Stacy going to 72.5 kilos.
Again, coming off that squat session, I mean, we had a couple of lifters that either had a shaky start or missed their thirds. That change of pace, going from squat to bench, I mean, they can really help a lifter. If you were feeling nervous squatting, having that time, in that squat session, getting acquainted with the meet environment, and then having to go to a lift where you naturally have to be a little bit more calm to execute, it can really help the mental of the lifter settle into the meet more and be ready to kind of let it out on bench and deadlift.
Alright, we're starting to see some of these third bench attempts come in. So Stacy opted for that 5 kilo jump to her third bench, so it looks like she's feeling really strong and knows that she has more than that 2.5 jump. She's going to make that 5 kilo or a 10-pound jump. And hopefully, she was our one lifter to go 3 for 3 on squats, so looks like she's got a solid plan going up, and hope the best and trusting that the plan is solid and that she'll go 3 for 3 on bench as well.
It's important to note too with Stacy, I mean, she's got the biggest opening pull of her class. Going 6 for 6 and having a strong subtotal, I mean, she's kind of in the driver's seat for this session.
Yeah, as we can kind of see, like, she finished out squat, say, with 147.5, and some of these other ladies were taking that for their second attempt, but they made too big of a jump to their third, so they, in the gym, they might be stronger than Stacy, but she's making these smart choices, and she's walking away with more than them just because she made these smart choices and went 3 for 3 on squat.
Absolutely. I mean, she had the second lightest opener in her flight, but she ends up with the third heaviest squat just because a lot of other people who took heavier attempts than her missed on theirs. We're about 2 minutes away from platform 4 starting their bench. When you get off the platform of your third squat, Katie, what do you do to get ready for bench?
Well, one of the things I've been doing recently is having a little singlet change. But other than that, you know, gotta kind of recoup. Bench is kind of my lift. That's where I feel most confident, and so a lot of nerves go away for that. And so I like to have a little fun, like I said. Might go change my singlet, might switch up my hair a little bit, just for fun. You know, I really, really enjoy this. So I try to make the most fun I can out of these meets. But I'm back there eating some more, drinking some more, staying hydrated. Try to not eat too much. I know some lifters might feel the same way, but if I feel too bloated going into bench, I might not be able to like fully set my arch right, get my technique right. So just try to make sure I stay hydrated throughout the day, really.
Yeah, I mean, so like a lot of these ladies today who are competing for podium placing, you yourself have competed for a podium at national meets. Even though you had a lift that you were a lot more confident in, makes up a lot of your total, did you feel any sort of pressure going into a lift that is, you know, supposed to be your lift?
Actually, yeah, it's a really good point to bring up. One of the funny things about, you know, bench being your lift, like I said, it's a little hard with some press commands to have it show up the way that you want. So I had some people say, like, as I was getting ready for the day, like, oh, Katie, are you gonna, like, what are you gonna press today? Are you gonna press this? So it does kind of put a little pressure because I didn't press what I wanted to. I wasn't able to match my PR. I went 3 for 3 on bench, and it was a hard third, but just because of the press commands that I was getting, because not that they were bad press commands, because I honestly just wasn't holding myself accountable in training. I didn't end up with what I wanted. Felt a little bit of pressure from the outside, but you kind of just have to go with what you know is there.
Absolutely. We have our first miss on platform 3. Just had Hannah. That's 3 yellows, so it's going to mean she failed the lift.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was just a fail on strength.
Opting to retake it, and again, like what we said about the increments, I mean, she had a good opener of 80 kilos, went up 5, feeling good for it, but
and you know,
when you're at these, you know, lower absolute weights, that 2.5 increment, I mean, that is a large percentage jump for a lot of these lifters compared to, you know, say like a super heavyweight man who is, you know, benching, you know, upper 400s, right? Where a 5-pound difference really is an extremely small increment. 5 kilos here, I mean, it can mean the world.
Yeah, exactly. Wanted to point out, one of the athletes that I was here coaching yesterday, she actually made these exact same jumps. She took 80 kilos for her opener, 85 for her second. She missed that 85 on strength on her second attempt, which a lot of people think is going to be really hard to come back from. But she came back and hit it on her third attempt. So this doesn't mean that 85 is out of the question for Hannah. Doesn't mean she's not strong enough. There could have just been a number of things. Could have been nerves. If she can get back in that headspace, she could come back and hit that 85 for her third attempt.
We are starting bench here on platform 4. We have Chloe with a good lift, and we have Haley right now. And we've got the last second bench on platform 3 with Ali coming out to 92.5 kilos.
We're moving through first bench attempts on platform 4 now. We had Chloe and Haley with 2 good lifts on bench, and then we've got Gracie with 67.5 for her opener.
And that's a good lift on platform 3. Only one missed bench so far. These ladies have really set themselves up to have a really good bench session. Platform 4 is following suit. We have 3 good attempts so far. Hope is on the board, or Hope is trying to get on the board here with 67.5.
Like we were talking about, Stacy is out for her third bench attempt of 77.5. Hoping to now go 6 for 6, so let's see if she can set herself up for that good day, getting as much as she can on the board.
And when you are that big deadlifter, I mean, starting 6 for 6, that is the best possible way to start your day. I mean, you are in the driver's seat. Any loss you might have on the subtotal compared to her competitors, I mean, that is all going to be erased once she hits that first deadlift. I think she's opening at the very least 17.5 kilos higher than anyone else in her flight right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone is more than 17 above her on the subtotal.
Not only was that a good lift, but it was an easy third bench attempt for her. So it looks like she probably just went a little bit more conservative to make sure she can hit that third bench. And Carl was talking about feeling really confident going into deads. Gonna finish out the flight for openers.
Yeah, especially when you have that big deadlift. A lot of people might see that as a saving grace, but if you can do enough on the subtotal to make sure that you have to pull less, I mean, that just makes your advantage even stronger. So we're going to see how the rest of this plays out when we start deadlifts on platform 3, flight A. But I think it's going to be a pretty exciting session to see how the totals shake. We're about halfway through benches on platform 4. And these ladies have had a clean session so far. Oh, right as I say that, Kiara got 2 yellow lights from the side refs. What do you think that is, Katie?
If I had to guess, 2 yellows from the side could mean a butt coming up. We're a little bit delayed on the feed here, so we can... Alright, I didn't see what it exactly would have been on my end. Could have been feet were not flat. The feet don't stay fully flat if the heels come up a little bit. It's usually side refs are going to catch that. If the butt comes up, it's usually side refs are going to catch that. You know, if it was a command thing, the head ref would usually catch that as well. So it could have been a couple things. There's a couple different small infractions in there.
It'll be interesting to see what Kiara puts in for her second bench. Usually when it's a small technical error like that and the bench still moves well, you feel the freedom to kind of go up. But we'll see what her and her coach are thinking.
Fortunately, Hannah failed that 85 kilos again on strength, but she's still walking away with that 80 kilos from her opener. Could have been a couple different things going into her day. It looks like she was a little bit on the higher end of her weight class at 64.8, so you know, maybe she was cutting into this meet. That could have affected her strength on the day. Could just be nerves.
Yeah, and as a coach myself, as well as Katie, I mean, when you're trying to get ready for a bench press into a meet, it can be the hardest lift to make sure it shows up properly. You know, squat and deadlift tend to be pretty predictable, but with as much frequency as some people have on their bench press, with how they take on the stress, I mean, it's hard to make sure that it's the best as it can be on meet day. So they obviously had a plan. They took a reasonable, modest jump, 5 kilos, just like everyone else, and it just wasn't there today. All right, we're getting ready to finish up our opening benches here on platform 4, and we're getting to the end of benches on platform 3 session, or flight 1. Audrey with a good lift. We've got Whitley on the platform. We've got Hannah getting yellow cards from the side refs. Again, that is most likely the butt coming up incrementally, maybe something with the feet as well.
it looked like it was an easy lift for Adrienne. It looked like she ran off pretty confidently after getting it, so I don't think she even knew really what that infraction was.
I believe that is the yellow cards. So maybe, you know, in excitement, wasn't able to see that, but I'm sure it's not the best thing you hear from your coach when you walk back there and see it on the board. You're celebrating and realizing you didn't get the lift.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've started to do myself, is trying to get myself to not celebrate until those lights come on. Especially, you know, as a ref as well. If there's a small infraction that I know the lifter wasn't aware of, but I do need to call, it's always really disappointing to see someone to start to celebrate, and then they see those lights, and then they get either confused, upset. Yeah, so always just kind of waiting, making sure you know kind of what happened before you really get too happy about it, I guess.
Yeah. We've got Allie going 3 for 3 here on platform 3. See if Layla can close this out with another 3 for 3 bench performance. Three yellows right there. Pretty tough start. For the field, but yeah, if you're on LiftingCast, you're going to see that that order shake up again. Like we were saying earlier, Stacy, at the end of her flight on deadlift, in a really good position to, you know, put up the best total possible. Now, if you haven't watched USAPL Raw Nationals before, one thing to take into account with these ladies is that there is a primetime session. Now, I don't have the roster in front of me, but all of these ladies are trying to put up the best total possible, knowing that there are lifters after them later in the day who, you know, by the quality of their qualifying total, have been selected to compete head-to-head in an open flight, right? So these ladies will put up their total, and another lifter will have the opportunity to beat that total for a higher placing. And there's nothing you can do about that when you're in the earlier session. You just do your best, put up your best total possible, and, you know, hope and see. Yep, we've got Gracie on platform 4, 75 kilos, and we're starting bench on platform 3. It's going to be interesting to see how some of these girls react to the bench press. I know a couple of them had a bit of a shaky start on squat. We've got Samantha already, you know, locking in a nice opener there after failing her last 2 squats. Definitely want to see that as a trend. Treat every single lift as a new opportunity to continue building that total or seeing what you can put up. You've got to have short-term memory. These meets, although the quality of the squatting and loading is fast, as far as the drain on the mind, it can be a pretty long day of competing. You just got to take every new lift as something different.
Looks like, unfortunately, Gracie Marshall took a jump from 67.5 kilos to 75 kilos, and could have just been a little bit too much and wasn't able to fully lock it out. So it looks like she's going to retake that again for her 3rd bench attempt. All right, so Kiara, she missed her 70 kilo opener. She had 2 yellows from the side, so could have been, like we said, either butt coming up, heels coming up, something along those lines. She still decided to make that 75 kilo jump. Maybe she knew what it was she needs to adjust. So we'll see if she's able to make that jump and get a bench on the board for today. All right, it looks like she was able to figure out what was wrong, tweak it, and she got a good lift for her second attempt of 75.
We've got Tatum here on platform 4, taking 77.5 kilos. On a good streak so far on platform 3. Everyone's hit their opener so far. Definitely want to see this continue as a trend.
And it looks like Annie, even though she did not get a squat, looks like she decided to continue on with the meet. Yeah, she's coming out for that bench. Still decided to try and make the most of the day. Still got 2 lifts left, bench and deadlift, to make the most out of.
Didn't get the start command initially, but fixed her setup, came back and got the lift. Katie, what are some reasons why a lifter might not get a start command?
Yeah, so there's a couple things that the refs are looking for. We're looking for locked out elbows, a good grip. So with the squat, you're able to wrap the thumb behind the bar and kind of do a thumbless grip. You're not allowed to do that on the bench press, so we're making sure that we have a safe grip on the bar, the glutes are down on the pad, feet are flat on the floor. So refs are checking all these things, and if she didn't have one of these, if she maybe her feet weren't flat, didn't have a good grip, it looked like her elbows were locked out, but if your elbows aren't locked out, that could be a reason to get that rack command instead of start. The refs will let her know what was wrong, she had enough time to fix it, and then she came back and got that bench.
Continuing to move along here, Aubrey with 90 kilos, good lift. Whitley is going to come out to take 95 kilos. And having a really good session so far. If she hits this, she'll be 5 for 5. And Anna with 3 white lights on platform 3. Really good job so far.
Alright, so that was a good lift for Whitley. She had 2 white lights and 1 yellow card. Let me watch this back and see if I'm able to kind of tell what that yellow could have been for. Could have been a couple different things. One of the things about bench, even though you have to be in a good start position of, you know, like I listed out, your grip also has to be within there are 2 lines on the bar that would be considered max grip. Your pointer finger needs to be inside of those. Only 2 of the refs need to believe that you are in a good starting position to get that start command. And so if, say, one ref left their arm up, they didn't think that someone was in a good starting position, but 2 of the refs thought that she was in a good starting position, they're able to get that start command, and that ref that didn't believe that they were, you know, maybe they saw a grip issue that the 2 others didn't see, they would give a red after the fact. So I think a lot of lifters sometimes get confused and say, like, oh, if I wasn't in a good starting position, like if I got a red for that after the fact, then why did I get start command? And that usually comes down to only 2 of the refs need to believe you're in a good start position. And this is ultimately there for the benefit of the lifter, because if, say, the head ref just has a lot of problems with something that the other refs don't believe is an issue, you're not just held back by that one ref giving that start command.
Absolutely. I mean, in that situation, right, where you need all three of them to agree that you're able to start your lift, just waiting there with the bench out. I mean, I think if you're asking benchers, what is the hardest part about adapting to a referee's commands? I mean, besides a long press command, having to hold the bar out, I mean, that is taxing on the body. It can definitely impact your strength when you're actually performing the lift. So just giving the lifter the ability to do the lift and essentially charging them after. You only need 2 white lights. It's a good lift.
Yeah, and a good head ref ideally, as soon as these two, you can't see them in the live stream, but there's 2 refs to each side of each platform, and they're waiting for that good starting position. And then once they believe that they're in a good starting position, they're going to put their arm down. So a good head ref, as soon as the 2 side refs have moved their arm, that head ref should give that start command. So, part of being a good ref is just recognizing that everything should kind of be for the benefit of the lifter. So, recognizing the need for a speedy start command, a reasonable press command, stuff like that. As a ref myself, I want to see the lifter get a lift. I'm not trying to make them hold it for as long as possible. I am just trying to uphold the rules, make sure everyone has the same conditions, everything along those lines to ensure fair competition while still doing everything that I can for the benefit of the lifter.
Absolutely.
All right, so Gracie missed 75 kilos for her second attempt, and she's got another attempt at it for her third bench. And
you'll see there, yeah, a failed lift. Like we were talking about those increments, I mean, she took, I believe, the biggest jump in her flight. She took 7.5 kilos. It can, not that it's a mistake on her end, but it's just so hard to predict sometimes where your strength is going to lie. I mean, most people at USAPL Raw Nats, they're not taking a second attempt intending it for it to be their last successful attempt, obviously. So just not what she expected on the day. Just got to go back and get ready for deadlifts. We've got Eleanor on platform 3 coming up here. Yeah, really clean so far from platform 3. I mean, we'll see how they finish second attempts and move on to their thirds, but definitely feels like a lot of those girls have settled into the meet and they're ready to execute.
hopefully we can see some more green on platform 4. So far out of 4 benches, we've only seen 1 good lift. Kind of going back to like we were talking about earlier on this stream, the 3rd bench is going to be the most missed lift. Sometimes I've seen fully red almost. Typically it's going to be about 50% in my experience. So hopefully we can get a little bit higher than that today.
Yeah, and you see there, I mean, 2 of those girls, they took the minimum increment at 2.5 and just didn't have many options. Obviously it could have been a technical error, some sort of execution disparity, but you just don't have many options when you're benching and the weights are a lighter absolute weight load. That is 3 for 3 for Tatum, though. So after missing that 3rd squat and getting that 3 benches, that's a really good way to get yourself ready for deadlifts. We're watching here on platform 2, or platform 3, sorry. We're finishing up their 2nd benches right now. We've got Anna taking 75 kilos.
Fortunately, no lift for Kiara. Even though she went 1 for 3 on bench, she still got her 2nd attempt. So sometimes you can kind of say that like she still walked away with 5 kilos over if she had went 1 for 3 with the opener. So still a good day for her. She missed out on those 5 kilos for her third bench, but I've been in that exact situation before where I missed that first bench on a technical, made the jump, got it, but then missed the third on strength. So really not missing out on too much. You can still put together a good total after that. So excited to see what she can do for the rest of the day. We've got Carly. She missed 87.5 for her second attempt and is going to retake it for her third. And then we've got a lot of green so far on platform 3. Hopefully this second attempt goes well for Helena, but so far we haven't missed a single bench on that platform's flight.
Yeah, really clean session out of those ladies. We're going to see these subtotals start to shake out here. Again, for the placing, I mean, I'd argue that the subtotal might be the most important number as far as predicting what's going to happen on deadlifts and what sort of decisions people are going to make. As much as people will try to game each other on squat and bench, you don't really know what totals you're fighting against until everyone records a deadlift. And once you see everyone's deadlifts, I mean, you kind of have an understanding of like, okay, here's what my competitors are going to do, here's what I may need to do, and you just kind of lead your 3 attempts that way. Now, a lot of these ladies, we don't know necessarily what their goals are. If they're coming in here and thinking, hey, my goal is the absolute highest placing, or my goal is the absolute highest total, or even some of them, I mean, they have good preps maybe, but maybe one lift goes better and the other 2 aren't as good. They just want to have one good lift. So we're going to see that reflect in their decisions. You'll see people overreach potentially on deadlift, or people maybe just be playing conservative, trying to get, again, their best total possible. It's a really, really interesting time in a powerlifting competition. So you really get the clearest picture on as far as what everyone's thinking as far as their goals.
I want to point out on that missed bench from Amika, some people might look at that and say that was a really long press command, but one of the things that refs are looking for these press commands is they're waiting until the bar is stable on the chest. So it's not a set amount of, oh, the bar needs to be on the chest for half a second, 1 second, 2 seconds. They're waiting until the lifter is able to hold it stable, not bouncing, not sinking, and then get that press command. And it looks like I unfortunately spoke a little bit too soon for platform 3. We are 3 missed benches in a row. We missed that second attempt with Helena, and if I remember right, it was a 2-to-1 no lift, so probably just a technical error. And we are now 2 misses on strength, or I believe that Amika was a technical error, but 2 misses in the third bench attempts. And it looks like we just wrapped up third benches for flight A on platform 4, so we're not done with bench yet. We've still got a whole other flight coming in. That was that flight with some of our masters lifters that we saw earlier. They're coming back out for bench presses. They had that little bit of a break, rehydrate, recoup themselves, and they're now back out, starting with Eleanor will be coming out with 25 kilos on the bar for her bench opener.
Yeah, and we're seeing that trend, unfortunately, on platform 3. I mean, these third benches have been red. Kind of said it time and time again, but that third bench is, it's super finicky for these lifters. It's definitely a thing a lot of people have to overcome. Yeah, and we see that change there with Hadassah getting 57.5 kilos.
First one in her flight to make that third bench so far. That's got to feel good. And she's 6 for 6 so far, so having a good day. And it looks like she could be one of the few people in her flight so far to be 6 for 6 on the day. Starting out strong on our second flight on platform 4. Eleanor got her 25 kilo bench opener. And then we'll have Celeste with 35 kilos on the bar.
We've got a good lift from Lisa. or sorry, from Celeste. Lisa's coming out for 40 kilos. She missed her first 2 squats in that squat session, so it's going to be really good to see if she can just come out here, take a nice bench, get herself in the game, feel a little bit more comfortable with what she's doing.
Unfortunately, more red on platform 3. We're almost to the end. We've only had one good third bench attempt so far, which is honestly a little bit shocking to me. I feel like when I see the most missed third benches, we're coming off of a lot of missed second attempts as well. Usually because, say, the press commands overall, people just weren't expecting, so this might just be an issue with, making some good jump choices.
Yeah, and you'll definitely see there too, I mean, a lot of these jumps, so we had a string of 2.5 kilos, right? And maybe that is, them running out of room. But when you take that 5 kilo jump, yeah, we just have another one there. It is hard, even when it's going well, to know what that top end is. I mean, a lot of these lifters, if you ask them to describe, where they struggle on bench, I mean, they can feel good and strong, but as soon as it leaves the chest, or maybe they're trying to lock out, I mean, they just absolutely lose it. And so
I feel like also with a lot of these teen lifters, not all of them are going to be super technical benchers yet. We're seeing a lot of close grip, not super high arches, and so seeing a lot of these failures happen, when they're trying to lock it out. And so that can just be like another thing of inconsistency that lifters maybe aren't used to. So that could be where some of our issues are lying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned earlier, no matter what the standard of training you keep, right, the standard, when you get in front of those referees and you have to hold it out a little bit longer, or it's different than what you usually do, your ability to predict your own strength, it becomes a little, it's not what you expect, it's not what you know in the gym. And so making these decisions, I mean, the probability that you make the wrong decision, it just goes up a little bit more.
We now have 2 lifters, 6 for 6 so far, with only 2 made third bench attempts, with Anna and Hadissa. And then we've got Helena with 97.5. She missed 95 on a technical error, decided to still go up 2.5. Unfortunately missed that. So we walked away with only 2 made bench attempts. And that is far below that kind of 50% average that I was talking about that I usually see with these attempts.
And again, maybe it makes sense that, this flight being the teen flight, some of these lifters just don't have as much information, as much data on their own training, their own performances to really know, what they're hitting on bench. A lot of lifters that are experienced have done many, many meets, have ran many training cycles. They have a number that they know, like, hey, this is probably going to be the number. They walk in, and if there's any deviation, they go lower. And so it's just one of those things that you gain the ability to perform better when you have more experience. And honestly, you just take it on the chin, right? You're so young. You know you're going to be much stronger in the next competition.
All right, and even though we are still on bench openers on platform 4, we're actually finished with bench on platform 3. So kind of like how we had that 10-minute intermission from bench to squat, we're having another 10-minute intermission before deads. So all those lifters are back here behind us right now, getting warmed up, rehydrating, eating, getting ready to come back out for deadlifts.
This session is moving pretty fast. These lifters are doing a really good job getting out there and executing, and the spotters and loaders are holding up their end of the bargain as well. Everything's very efficient right now. Got Krista taking 70. That's a good lift. All right, yeah, you'll see we're moving to that single screen here. We'll be back with deadlifts on platform 3 in about 10 minutes. Again, that timer starts when the platform gets cleared and ready for deadlifts.
We're having a good day so far with these bench openers. We're almost to the end. All green so far, so hopefully we can keep that streak up. And we are back on this platform with some of our masters lifters again in this session. And I know I said this earlier, but keep in mind some of these lifters are in their you have at least one lifter who is in her 70s, but most of these lifters are 40s, 50s, even 60s. So being at a powerlifting meet like this always just blows my mind at that age, showing like what you can still do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, competing in the Masters division, I mean, it really shows that one, I mean, if you haven't started lifting, I mean, you're never too late to start lifting and compete at a high level. But also, I mean, if you've been in the community a long time, I mean, the opportunity for you to compete at the national level, to have presence there, I mean, it extends as long as you continue to compete.
You know, not only are some of these Masters lifters just showing up, they are competitive. Last night, I was handling for the primetime session, and and if you aren't aware, the primetime session is some of the best lifters in the open category are all put together to battle head-to-head in a smaller session. And one of the men's open lifters was also a Masters lifter. And so not only was he insanely competitive to be here as a Masters lifter, he was one of the top lifters in the open category. So, you know, not only are they just showing up, they're showing up strong and competitive.
Absolutely. We have Rachel closing us out on platform 4 for the bench openers. Again, clean board so far, but as we've been, you know, repeatedly saying this whole session, what really is important to note on bench is that third attempt, setting up for that third attempt. So everything clean here, that's good. That's what we want to see, but the important decisions come later. And I think it'll be interesting to shake out. I mean, you see on the board, if you have LiftingCast open, you know, a lot of 2.5 attempt calls right on that second bench. Hopefully that is a reflection of some of these ladies being conservative, knowing that their top end is not that much further from their opener. But we're going to see how that approach pays off here. So we have Eleanor taking 27.5 kilos on her second attempt on bench.
So we've got all good opening attempts on this flight. Yeah, looking, like Tom was saying, looking at all of these jumps to the second attempts, now that looks like just about all of them are in. The max jump that we're seeing is that 5 kilos. And some of the mistakes we were seeing with some of the teen lifters, I think, was making a 7.5 kilo jump to their second attempt and that just being too much. So hopefully we can keep that streak up, get all good lists for the second attempts, and then we'll see how those third attempts goes.
Celeste taking 35 kilos here. 5 kilo jump from that opener.
As some of you might be able to see, they're adjusting some of these blocks underneath her feet. Lifters can actually opt to raise the ground underneath them with these blocks. This is typically because if some of these lifters aren't consistently training on a combo rack, the combo rack is a little bit higher than a typical bench that you're going to see in like a commercial gym. And even though a higher bench could, for some people, be an advantage because it can help you not let your butt come off of the pad, you want to get your competition environment as close to your training environment as possible. So having these blocks available, really helpful for a lot of lifters, as well for lifters that are simply just shorter and have shorter legs and have a little bit harder time reaching the ground. So we might see that with some of these lifters. If you see those spotters putting something underneath their feet, probably putting some of those blocks down for them.
Yeah, we want to ensure as much as possible that all of our athletes are competing on a level playing field. And sometimes that means literally raising the ground for them.
And so you see some of these adjustments, you know, trying to make the competition environment as close to their training environment as possible. We also see a lot of people trying to, you know, make their training environment as close to competition environment as much as possible. So what are some of those things that you might look for in a gym or do for yourself to make your training environment as close to competition standards as possible?
If we're talking about making the training environment, you know, as close to standard as possible, the biggest thing that starts with is, can you have access to the right powerlifting equipment? Now, the exact branding might not be always the same, right? So our sponsor here today is TSS. It's for the entire weekend. But you might go to another meet and they might have another sponsor, another combo rack, equipment supplier. As long as you are on some sort of combo, I mean, across the entire industry, they're extremely similar to each other. I think that's first and foremost. After that, I honestly think these sort of soft rules that you have to maintain as far as standard in lifting, so like we were talking about earlier, like maintaining a certain standard of depth, pausing your benches, you sort of just need the physical stimulus, because obviously no matter what, even if it's exactly 1-to-1, I mean, you're going to show up to a meet and that referee is not going to be the same person in the gym that you have, right? So we both train at a gym with many referees, many people who've been competing for a long time. As much as they can look over our training and give us the right direction as far as maintaining a training standard, we show up to a meet, it's going to be a little bit different. So as long as you are training in the realm of what you're going to be competing against, I mean, you as the athlete, it ultimately becomes on you to make sure all of that translates.
Yeah, of course. Some of these other things, you see this platform, it's a carpeted platform, so for some people, getting that is important to them. For some people, training on the right type of bar is important. Training in like a singlet and t-shirt can be important to some people. I know a lot of people as well are really passionate about getting in like an SBD session, making sure that like once you show up to the meet, some people's training can be affected if you come off of a heavy squat and you're now going into deadlifts. If in all of your training you're coming into your heavy deadlift fresh, you don't really know how you're affected by squats sometimes. So some people might play that safe and go a little bit more conservative on their squat to really save it for deads. But if you're training every primary on an SBD, you know how it's going to affect you, and so that can just get rid of another variable going into meet day.
Absolutely.
Only one missed second attempt so far from Deborah. She opted to retake that for her third, but doing well so far other than that. Looks like we're making some pretty smart attempt choices so far, and it looks like everyone who has put in a third attempt so far is only making a 2.5 jump or retaking a missed weight, which I think is a very smart move for a lot of these ladies.
And the second attempts have been moving pretty well, aside from that miss. So I expect that the third benches here will be a lot more green than what we were seeing on platform 3. Obviously things can change, and it's on the ladies to execute.
Taking a look at some of these subtotals and deadlifts openers so far, looks like Rachel really stands out. She has a 247.5 subtotal right now, and she will be opening the heaviest on deadlifts in her fight with a 187.5 kilo opener. Looks like she is doing a very competitive job so far.
And we've got Rachel here taking 77.5 on her second bench attempt. Just inching forward with those 2.5 kilo increments. And on platform 3, we're starting here with deadlifts. Anna just had 140 kilos. We've got 142 loaded for Kendra. A big thing that we're starting to finish out platform 4, 80 kilos for Michelle. Got another lifter that can go right as I was saying that. Again, 5 for 6 so far. It's not the worst way to start the day. Really setting yourself up to deadlift. And a good deadlift by Michelle. These ladies are moving quick. And besides that miss by Ashlyn, and everyone's green so far. So like I said earlier, we're really going to have to pay attention to the forecasted placing. Because this does seem to be the entire flight of their competitors, I mean, this is where we start to see those decisions come out and play. They're allowed to make 2 changes on that third deadlift. So they submit one as they walk off the platform. They submit a deadlift as they walk off the platform, and they're able to change it 2 times. If you're in a placing battle, like most of these ladies, some of them may elect to put in a fake attempt, a number that, you know, allows them to hold a bigger place in the deadlift selection order, only to be lowered once they know that they can take a smaller number.
Yeah, and what this might do is scare a later lifter to putting in a heavier attempt. Some people, though, this doesn't really faze them. If they are simply just sticking to a plan, they're going to let placings fall wherever they fall. But if they're in a battle with someone else that is also kind of playing the game, making sure that they are setting themselves up to place, it could be what's going on. They could be putting in a placeholder to potentially change later. They could be putting an attempt to then later watch what happens to someone else. If they fail an attempt, they might take the minimum that they need to move up to that placing. And that's kind of why these attempt changes are in place.
And based on the way this fight is going, I don't anticipate any of these ladies putting in a fake placeholder. Maybe Stacy puts in a bigger number than she needs, but for the most part, it looks like these ladies are just ready to go, hitting the number they think they can hit. And if anyone is vying for position, they might just take a lower number if possible. We see Hannah there scratching after her second. Lifters are generally only scratching if there is some sort of injury or they know that there's no way they're going to get the lift. And so I hope Hannah's okay.
Yeah, and so we don't have eyes on what was going on, but my guess is maybe that 167 was a really big grind. Wasn't able to get it. She knows that she either can't come back out for it, or maybe she, hopefully not, but potentially hurt something while doing that second attempt and knows that there's just no way she can get that third safely. So that could be why she scratched it. So unfortunately, we will not be seeing Hannah back out on the platform after that second attempt.
We've got Stacy taking her second. This will put her in first place for the time being. Now, in this situation, when we get down to it, Allie will have to make her third deadlift to take the first place position. If she misses in any case, Stacy will automatically be your first place winner in the Raw Junior division. And Stacy has elected to just take what she needs in the case that Allie makes it. So let's say Allie misses here. Stacy may decide to just, hey, take that number down, ensure something that's pretty easy because she's already won. Or maybe this is the real attempt and they know they're going to go for it anyways. So really excited to see how it shakes out to finish out Platform 3, Flight A.
What we're seeing is some of these lifters, they might tie each other on total. And when that happens, the tiebreaker is going to be their body weight. And so Stacy weighed in at 64.25, while Allie weighed in at 64.4. So in that case that they do tie, Stacy would actually be the winner just because she weighed in slightly lighter today. If Allie wanted to try and pull for that first place, she would need to go 2.5 higher. But the advantage that Stacy has is being a bigger puller. So will pretty much always be pulling after Allie no matter what Allie could competently load. So Stacy will be able to see what Allie loads, load exactly what she needs to pull her first place, and I'm sure that is exactly what's going through her and her coach's mind right now.
So we've got Anna taking Platform 3, 160 kilos.
Unfortunately, we've got a couple misses so far on third deadlifts.
Yeah, this pull by Anna here is to secure 5th place. That is the podium's placing.
But the person pulling after Anna, Layla, is... Oh, so it looks like Anna's got that. Layla will be coming out currently in 6th. And one of the thing about these attempt changes, they have until they call bars loaded to make that attempt change. So she's coming out for 167.5 to stay in 6th place. But if she wanted to move into 5th, she would have had up until they call bars loaded if she wanted to see what Hannah was going to pull and change. Looks like she didn't do that though. She'll be coming out to 167.5 kilos on the bar to stay in 6th place. All right, and that will be a good lift for her. Some of these things just come down to, you know, are you more focused on placing, or are you more focused on just loading what you know is there for yourself? And it looks like, I don't know if Layla would have had another 2.5 kilos after that sticky walkout, so it looks like that would have been a good choice for her. And she's even moved into 5th now. It looks like there might have been some other attempt changes or something that moved her from 6th to 5th. So, you know, that's one of the advantages, is just loading what you know is there. And if the placings work out, getting that third deadlift is a lot of times going to be more beneficial than trying to load something that is too heavy to try and pull into another place.
That is a good lift for Adrienne. So right now she's in 3rd position. If Michelle makes this pull right here, she'll end up taking over that 3rd position, and Adrienne will go to 4th.
Yeah, so I think that pull from Adrienne moved Layla actually back into 6th place, so she's back down there. These last 3 pulls are gonna finish out what we'll know our 1st, 2nd, and 3rd places will be. So we'll see how these play out. 170 kilos for Michelle right now.
Okay, it looks like she's just going for 3rd. You know, not electing to try to, you know, make some heroic jump into 1st or 2nd place.
Yeah, so it looks like she's a far bit away from a 2nd place total.
So Michelle was not able to get that. She ends in 5th place. Adrienne is in 3rd, and Anna is in 4th. We're seeing Allie here. So Allie needs to make this pull in order to move into 1st place.
Allie will be staying in 2nd if she makes this pull. It looks... If she makes this pull, they will tie on total, but there will be that body weight tie, like I had mentioned. They are currently tied on total, making the same planned jump to again tie on total if they both make it, and if they do tie, Stacy would win on that body weight. But it all comes down, if Allie makes this and Stacy doesn't, then Allie would be able to move up to 1st place.
Yeah, and Allie makes her pull, so right now she's in 1st place. That puts the pressure on Stacy. If Stacy makes 205 kilos, she will move into 1st place, tying on body weight. So this is, it all comes down to this.
All right, yeah, so as Tong said, Allie is currently in 1st. Stacy is trying to pull back up, making a 10-kilo jump from her 2nd to her 3rd, trying to tie Allie on her total, taking just the minimum that she needs to secure that 1st place. So we'll see, is she able to do it?
Good, yeah. So Stacy, as far as we know it, I mean, she is your 1st place winner in the women's Raw Junior 65 kilo weight class. was a great day for her. I mean, she went 9 for 9. Literally the perfect meet. Everything was set up well for her to take the win. I'm not sure off the top of my head if there's someone in primetime who can overtake her, but at least for the junior division, she is the champion. So congrats to Stacy.
All right, and just like before, we are going straight into that second flight of lifters for their deadlift attempts. Starting out strong with Amika, 100 kilo, good lift. And for this deadlift, there's only one command that these lifters need to follow, and that is a down command at the end. They can walk out, and they have that same minute timer, 60 seconds from when the head ref calls bars loaded. Instead of like the other lifts where they have a minute to get that start command, they have a minute to start the pull. So that's kind of up a little bit up to the referee discretion of like starting a legitimate pull to the bar. They have that minute to do that. So 2-1 for Hannah. We had one red, and a red card on deadlift is typically going to mean like not fully locked out knees, just not fully completing the lift, or the shoulders could not have been fully pulled back. And watching that back, sometimes when you have such a narrow grip like that, it can be hard to fully pull the shoulders back. And they can look a little bit far forward. 2 white lights is still a good lift though, so she got that opener on the board, and she's already got her jump in for her second attempt. But as I was saying, they've only got that down command, so once the head ref believes that they have finished the lift and are in a good ending position, they will give that down command. They just need to control the bar to the ground and maintain a controlled grip on it. They don't need to, you know, slowly lower it, but they need to just let it fall, hold on to it. Sometimes you might see something that's a little bit close if a lifter is really close on grip and it looks like they're slipping out of their hands right as they drop it. That could be a reason for failure, because you do need to maintain a controlled grip and not just kind of letting your hands maybe touch it on the way down if you're not actually holding on to it if it was slipping out at the end. Deadlift, especially openers, it's going to be one of the easiest ones to ref because there's only that one command. It's usually pretty simple. Hopefully a lot of these lifters are going conservative so that a deadlift isn't going to be as, you know, as grindy or as hard. We see a lot of missed squat openers because people say aren't squatting to depth. We can see a lot of missed bench openers because maybe someone opened too heavy for the pause. They didn't plan for that, but you know, deadlift, pretty self-explanatory. Pick it up and put it back down. 3 white lights for Emma, and as we can see on platform 4, we're about to get started with deadlifts over there. So, you know, platform 3 is going pretty fast. We've got some shorter flights over here. So we've only got about 9 lifters in each flight, so that's why we've been going pretty quickly. Got a great spotting and loading crew that's been keeping the weights moving. Got about 10 seconds left on that timer for platform 4 before we're going to start with deads. And we'll be starting back with that first flight with a couple of our teen lifters, some of our open lifters over there, all in the 65 kilo weight class over there. They'll be starting their day off with their deadlifts. And you know, once everyone gets a deadlift opener on the board, that's when they get an actual total. And that's when we can start to see some of these placings come to life. Again, a lot of green on the board so far for these deadlift openers. If we do see a missed deadlift opener, sometimes, which, as weird as it is, people sometimes can even move the bar like too fast to where they lose balance at the top, which I've seen a lot. And so some people will call that like a bobble. So if we say that maybe someone bobbled at the top, it means that maybe they locked it out, went down a little bit, and then back up. So that would actually be a downward motion call because the bar needs to just fully travel up from the time they start pulling. Gracie Marshall had a good lift on platform 4 with 115 kilos. She's making some big jumps, going from 115 to 130 to her second attempt, it looks like. It looks like she's pretty comfortable making these big jumps sometimes. She was one of the lifters that actually made a 7.5 kilo jump in her bench attempt, so this could be her, you know, typical strategy for game days. Same thing over here. We saw Chloe on platform 4 had that very narrow grip, and it looked like her lockout got a little sticky. You know, she got a good lift, but you might see some issues with that when we have like a really narrow grip such as that. It'd be a little bit harder to pull the shoulders back, but one advantage that it does give is, you know, if you bring your arms a little bit closer, you'll have just that extra little bit of length to your arms, which could add a lot of strength for some people.
We've got Tatum opening up here with 142.5 kilos on platform 4. Yeah, besides that third squat, very clean day so far. Only lost 5 kilos on that squat. I mean, depending on what place she's looking for, what her plans are, I mean, she's still pretty set up to have a successful day.
Yeah, and it looked like on platform 3, we had all good first deadlift attempts. So no issues with that. Hopefully we can keep that streak up for second attempts, and then we might just see some, you know, some strength issues for those third deads.
Platform is now ready for Samantha on platform 3. Yeah, we're seeing a similar trend here. The squats were shaky, but I mean the girls on platform 3, they're ready to take this deadlift session. Everything's green so far. Nice pull by Samantha there. We're going to see Emma take the platform here once they have the bar loaded. Hope making 155 kilos. That's 341 pounds. Hope as well having a pretty nice day. Only lost 5, missing that third squat.
Doing good so far for second attempts. All green on the board, just like first attempts. And it looks like we're even taking some smaller jumps for. All right, looking at some of these jumps. Especially for some of these teen lifters, we're not seeing some super big jumps for third deads. Not sure if some of these ladies are looking at placings at all, or like we said earlier, if they're just kind of loading what they know is there. I feel like with some of these teen lifters, you know, it's a little harder to understand some of the rules with like the attempt changes and stuff. Usually might need more of like an experienced coach to kind of play that game for you. I've never even really done that myself. I'm always having someone else do that for me in my own competitions. So excited to see if we'll see some attempt changes on some of these third attempts.
Yeah, the biggest thing to know, because at local meets you are also allowed to do the attempt changes. You get your initial attempt, right? Just like any other attempt, you put a number in. You're allowed to change it 2 more times after that. So one change, maybe you're trying to set yourself up to game an opponent, or maybe you look back at a video and you decide that, hey, maybe what we did was actually too low or too high. And then you get one more change after that to just kind of lock in what you're going to do. A lot of times, I mean, most people are not going to use that unless they know they're in a competition and they know they have to hit a number either lower or higher than what they originally had. And that is more of a last-minute attempt change.
Yeah, so unfortunately on platform 3, we had a no lift from Annie. It was a 2-to-1. There are 2 red cards from the side referees. Red card would usually mean not fully locked out, so that could have very well been an issue for her with a good lift from the head ref, but it looks like that didn't phase her, and she's still making a 10-kilo jump to her 3rd deadlift, and it looked like it moved fast from the looks of it. So if she knows that she just maybe needs to lock out her knees a little bit harder, and that was actually our lifter who did not get a squat on the board, so maybe she's also just making this big attempt just to, you know, you're only at nationals, you know, you can always come back, but this is the big stage, so if you want to pull a big deadlift PR, this is the place.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we said earlier, all these lifters have different goals. I mean, on every lift, the total and what they're really here for. If Annie is feeling like 170 kilos is what she's here for, that's what's going to get loaded.
You know, maybe deadlift is her lift, and she didn't really care about squat if that didn't phase her, and she knew that she just needed to stay and get that deadlift. And it looks like, unfortunately, Hannah missed her 3rd deadlift attempt. Let me watch this back. She got 1 red card and
a blue card.
1 blue card. I believe that one of the red cards would have been that same issue that I believe I saw in that opener of shoulders might not have been fully pulled back. Not exactly sure what the blue card was with her deadlift. Could have been some downward motion that one of the refs saw. But she still walked away with that 115 kilos for her 2nd attempt. And, you know, she only made a 5-kilo jump to that. So, say she only really missed out on 2.5 kilos if she took 17.5 instead.
And we've got platform 3. And we're opening these 3rd deadlifts here. Starting to finish out our day. Mika just finished with 125 kilos. We've got Samantha doing 130 kilos right now.
Unfortunately, that was a no lift. 3 yellows would typically mean a fail on strength.
It looks like Samantha will finish in 3rd place in the Raw Teen 1 division. So podium placing for her. Just too much on the day as far as that last pull.
Yeah, unfortunately did not get it off the ground, but making that small jump, she can walk away knowing that she probably didn't have that much more in her if she couldn't get 130 off the ground.
Yeah, and so far on platform 4, I mean, these ladies are having a very clean session. After, you know, some misses here and there on bench and squat, some lifters might go into deadlifts feeling like, hey, we've had a sloppy day. Let's make, you know, better decisions. Let's be a little bit more safe. Try to leave the meet with 3 for 3 on deadlifts. I mean, I'm sure you've gotten this, Katie, but when you have a really good meet and, you know, you just miss right at the end, your feelings on the meet can completely change based on one lift. Even if you're having the day of your life, if that deadlift session doesn't go right, I mean, it's the last thing that you do before you leave the meet. A lot of lifters, this is where they want to finish. You know, they want to finish well.
Exactly. You know, for a lot of people, deadlift is the biggest, like that 3rd deadlift pull is the biggest event for them. And really that being the last thing that they're doing in the meet can really affect how they're feeling about the day. So sometimes, you know, missing a 3rd squat, you can recover. And if you make that 3rd deadlift, that's what you're going to remember about that meet a lot of times. So I've unfortunately been in that position, missing that 3rd deadlift, being really upset about it, but it's easy to forget about how good the day could have been earlier on.
Yeah, Kiera on platform 4, that was our first miss. couldn't get that pull above her knees. Strength just doesn't seem to have showed up the way she might have expected. They're going to retake that, see if she can just get into the back, calm herself, and then get ready for this pull. There's Ella with a really good pull there. We've got Jeanette on platform 4. And if you're watching platform 3, we're getting to the heaviest pulls here.
Yeah, we're now over 160 kilos for Carly. She's at 162. We're also now into all of our open division women in this section.
Yeah, we're going to have a number of 65 kilo lifters at prime time. So a lot of these ladies, I'm not sure where they will actually end up placing wise. But again, when you're in that position where you're lifting first, the only thing you can do, but also the best thing you can do, is just go 9 for 9, put up a good total. As much as it's an advantage for a lifter after you to know what you have to do, the onus is still on them to compete, right? And obviously when you're in prime time, there's more pressure, more eyes on you. The capacity to make mistakes also goes up, so you just got to focus on what you can do.
Yeah, and you never know how that primetime session is going to go for someone later. Obviously not to wish bad on anyone, but I mean, you never know if anyone could even bomb out, have a bad day. And so the best thing you can do for yourself, set yourself up, biggest total that you can. And, at the end of the day, you might end up with a higher placing than you thought you would.
We got our last pull on platform 3. Helena with 170 kilos.
And it looks like Annie came back after missing that 160 for her second, made that 10 kilo jump, and got 170 for her third.
It looks like there might have been some up and down there.
Two
just
blue
missing that
cards
last
from the
pull
sides.
on a technicality. A really good day by Helena overall, though. She's her first place winner in the women's Team 3 division. Oh, it might have been.
It could have been supporting on the thighs as well. That's another thing that a blue card could mean for the deadlift. That is one of the other infractions I don't believe I went over earlier. So the bar needs to just, not only does it need to travel completely upwards, it needs to just, travel upwards from your actual strength and not from, say, leaning back and resting the bar on your thighs to kind of ramp it up. And so refs are looking for that as well, to make sure that you're not supporting on your thighs, and that's something that a blue card could be for.
Yep, Whitley is taking 175 kilos.
All right, and then after Whitley, we're making a massive jump up to 190 kilos for Audrey Myers. Let's see, so she's moving into that forecasted place of 6th place, even though this is off of second attempts, but kind of like we were saying, there's going to be some 67 kilo women in prime time today, so even if she ends up today in 6th place, we'll still have to wait till the end of the day to see the official placing.
Yeah, I believe that forecasted place is after, would it be the openers of prime time? Is that in yet?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, the forecasted place, these placings are just for this session. So even if someone says that they are in 1st place for the session today, the openers for the primetime ladies will not go in until they weigh in later tonight. So we'll see those placings for primetime move up tonight after they get those openers in. These placings might bump down even off of the openers, or once they get going into their 2nd and 3rd attempts.
All right, we have all of our 3rd attempts in on LiftingCast. We have Gracie pulling right now.
And only 1 miss in the 2nd attempts from Kiara, and she's just going to be retaking that for her 3rd. 2-to-1 lift for Gracie. Just got that 1 red from the side ref for not fully locking out, maybe. Sometimes when lifters, if they pull back too much, it could even unlock the knees. We typically see that more with sumo lifters. If they pull their shoulders back and their entire torso back. Their knees can even slightly unlock. So Gracie still got that lift, but that could have been what was going on behind that red card from the side referee.
Yeah, and she is your first place winner in the women's Raw Team 1 division. So congrats, Gracie.
Unfortunately, no lift for Chloe. Looks like there are some blue cards. We are a little bit delayed on watching the live stream, so we'll watch that right now and see. Yeah, unfortunately, I think that it's a little harder to tell from the front than from the side, but those blue cards could have been supporting on the thighs, or it looked like it could have had a little bit of up and down motion when she got stuck locking out on her thighs.
Another miss here by Kiara. I mean, these dirt pulls, especially after failing your second on strength, it can be really hard to come back and make that.
Yeah, very unfortunate. It looks like squat still went pretty well for Kiara today.
Still finished on the podium in the women's Raw Team 2 division in third place, so congrats to her. It's a good lift by Haley, going 8 for 9 on the day.
I think that's our first 3 white lights for the third deadlift. All right, and then that same weight is staying on the bar for Tatum, 160 kilos. She's in the 65 open class, currently forecasted in that 10th place if she gets this.
It's a good lift for Tatum.
Yeah,
8 for 9 day, really good job recovering after that third squat miss.
And then now we've got Jeanette coming out with 162.5. She's currently in third, forecasted to stay in third after this pull. And hopefully she can end this session being in third place. And even though there are those primetime ladies later tonight, these women that finish first, second, third in their categories today will receive those medals just because we don't know what's going to happen later tonight. And it's always good to celebrate that first place finish in their session today.
Absolutely, and even with this sort of setup where there are lifters coming in after you, all you can do at the end of the day is compete with what's in front of you, and so winning your session, winning your flight, that's still an accomplishment, and it represents all the training that these ladies have done leading up to this meet.
Yeah, and it looks like Jeanette got that third pull and even moved up into second place after that as well with the 430 kilo total with very strong 8 for 9 day.
We got 4 more pulls to go on platform 4, flight A. Carly with 170 kilos.
And she would move from 10th place into 9th with this pull. You know, a top 10 finish, especially in that open category, is something to be very proud of. Yeah, good lift for Carly. She currently stands in 9th place in the 65 kilo open class.
Like a few ladies earlier, Hope missed her third squat, but has rebounded and gone 5 for 5 thus far. We'll see if she can finish out her day and go 6 for 6 to close the day.
All right, and then with this pull, she would be moving from 8th place up into 7th. 30 seconds left on that timer. All right, yeah, good lift. She moved into 7th place.
All right, we've got our first 400-pound deadlift on here on platform 4. Whitley is taking 182.5 kilos.
All right, and it looks like she's making a big move in placings. If she gets this, she'll move from 5th place into 2nd in the open category. But it looks like it could be a pretty reasonable jump. You know, she made a 10-kilo jump up to her 2nd and then only taking 7.5, probably trying to just secure that total, get what she knows is there. Yeah, good lift for her.
And for 9 day.
Yeah, the first one we've seen on this platform so far.
All right, we've got Audrey taking 195 kilos. This is 3 times her body weight, folks. This is a huge deadlift.
And she would move from 6 into 4, so hoping to secure that spot on the podium for this session. So unfortunately, we had a red card from the side ref and a blue card from the front ref. So a red card from the side would mean that it wasn't fully locked out. We're watching this back right now. All right, yeah, it looks like maybe her shoulders weren't fully back. And then it could have been a blue from the front ref, possibly for supporting on thighs, or I might have saw some downward motion. That is something that could be challenged at the jury if you get one white light. But unfortunately for now, that was a no lift. And she did remain in 6th place with that 190 kilo from her 2nd attempt. And we are moving right into deadlift openers for our Flight B. Celeste will be opening us back up with 70 kilos on the bar for her deadlift.
Oh, good opener there for Celeste.
Taking a look at some of these forecasted placings, we've got a few Masters 4 70-kilo lifters. We've got Celeste forecasted 3rd, Eleanor forecasted 2nd, and Lisa currently forecasted in 1st. So we'll be able to see how these ladies can kind of battle it out and finish on these placings.
Yeah, for the most part, I mean, across the board, besides 3rd benches, this has been a very clean session for these ladies. So we're going to see if maybe everyone can rebound off the back of that missed bench, try to go 3 for 3 on deadlifts here, and just walk out of here with their heads held high. There we go. Eleanor gets 1 red light, but 2 are needed for a good lift. So good job there, Eleanor.
All right, and taking a look at that poll from Eleanor, my guess would be that one of her knees was slightly unlocked, but 2 white lights is a good lift, and now she got that lift down, can hopefully fix that on her 2nd attempt and make it clean and not giving the judges any reason to doubt.
It's a good lift for Lisa, 107.5 kilos. We're taking a big jump now to Donna, 130 kilos.
All right, and then looking at placings for later on in this flight, we've got quite the battle with 5 women in the Masters 1 70-kilo division. Some of these look like they could be a little close, specifically between that 2nd and 3rd place. Everyone has their forecasted place right now, but it's really going to come down to, 1, the jump sizes that they make, and simply if they're able to get all of their attempts. So Rachel is currently forecasted for 1st, and I've got to say, she is in 1st by a mile. So my prediction is that she's going to maintain first place as long as she gets that deadlift opener. After her, we've got Krista forecasted in second, followed by Lindsay, then Michelle and Jennifer. So some of these lower placings, that second, third, fourth, fifth, are a little bit closer. So we'll see how this is able to play out in this fight.
And when you're competing in these age divisions, one thing that is good is that the amount of competitors you're having to compete against on the day, it's a lot less than the open, and so your focus can be on one or two people. It really gives you a clear path on what you need to do if you're looking to compete with them. But it looks like, for the most part, a lot of these ladies are pretty spread out. So, again, that is also a benefit, just being able to focus on yourself. We've got 145 kilos loaded here for Deborah. She missed her second bench earlier, came back on her third, and got that. Now looking to open the day on deadlifts. Finish the day strong. Good, that's a good lift.
Yeah, doing good so far on these openers, so hopefully everyone can get that deadlift on the board and secure a total and a spot in the placing.
157.5 kilos is getting loaded for Krista. Three white lights for Krista, great job. We're getting here to our last two opener deadlifts on platform 4. Lindsay with 160 kilos. Now you'll see here too, she's missed both her third squat and her third bench. I think honestly prioritizing 3 for 3 on deadlifts can really change the way she might feel about her day. And she starts strong with 3 white lights. And we have Rachel opening above 400 pounds.
All right, and like we said, she's currently forecasted in that first place, and by I guess all she needs is to get this opener to secure that first place. Yeah, 3 white lights for her. Haven't gotten to take a look at it yet, but I heard some people cheering out there for her.
Yeah, 75 kilos here for Celeste.
Yeah, that opener moved very well for Rachel. Looks like she's got quite a bit more left in her, and she will be taking that first place by a bit.
It'd be exciting to see what she decides to put in for a second.
Good lift for Celeste.
Good lift for Celeste.
75 kilos for her. Yeah, and it's looking like the forecasted placings are going to hold true for that Masters 4 division. We've still got Lisa ahead of Eleanor, ahead of Celeste. Yeah, and a good lift for Eleanor.
We've got Lisa coming back with 112.5 kilos.
Lisa's getting ready for her second attempt of 112.5 kilos. Looking to maintain that first place position for that Masters 4 division.
It's a good lift for Lisa.
And we're jumping up into the 300 pounds for Donna. She's taking at 140 kilos, which is 308 pounds for her second attempt. Looks like we've only got 2 people battling for that Masters 3 position. Donna is currently in that second place.
And like we said earlier, they're likely too far away on forecasted total to really worry about one another. Really just give them peace of mind to just come in and put a nice total. Sometimes the best way to, react to competition is just to pretend they're not there and just try to get everything out of yourself. Really good pull by Donna. We've got Jennifer taking 150 kilos here on platform 4.
I think a lot of people sometimes get too caught up in the pulling for the win moment that they load something that honestly just isn't realistically there. They miss out on that third attempt, and then maybe instead of being in, say, 3rd place, if they had loaded something that they could have gotten, they end up in maybe like 5th or 6th when they get too greedy loading that 3rd deadlift for 1st place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't think we're going to see much of that today. Probably not going to see many 3rd deadlift changes unless it's someone just second guessing what their own strength is and not necessarily watching someone else.
Two to 1, that's a good lift. Got the same weight loaded here for Michelle. Got a run on 150 kilos. The lift is good. Taking a jump from there, we've got 165 kilos loaded for Krista.
Yeah, and Krista is currently in that 2nd place for the 70 kilo Masters 1. See, and it looks like that 2nd and 3rd place position, if Lindsay gets the 2nd attempt, which it looks like she did, they are only separated by 7.5 kilos. So what this means is that it's really going to come down to who makes their 3rd deadlift, because say if Krista doesn't make hers, but Lindsay is able to get hers and she makes that 7.5 or 10 kilo jump, she could very likely move up from that 3rd place to 2nd place position here.
And after Rachel takes the 2nd attempt, we're going to see what everyone's thinking for their 3rds. I don't want to speak too soon because this box is getting loaded, but no one's missed yet.
And it looks like Krista and Lindsay both opted for only a 5 kilo jump. So from the looks of it, based on these 3rds that are put in, we'll have Krista staying in that 2nd place and Lindsay staying in that 2nd place. But oh, it looks like we just had a 3rd attempt change from Krista. whether it was a mistype or already an attempt change, it went from 170 to 172, so that she's now sitting even higher into that second place position.
I don't know if you can hear it on the live stream, but Rachel is attempting a Masters World Record here on this deadlift. That's good. That's a new world record.
Right, and then we are back at the top for these final third deadlift attempts on this platform. And it looked like that moved well for Rachel as well, so she's probably going to try and break her own record again. Yeah, it looks like she put in 205 kilos for that third attempt.
We've got Eleanor trying to go 9 for 9 here, our first 9 for 9 on this platform.
Yeah, I noticed looking down at that Masters 1 category, I believe that Krista changed her third attempt from 170 to 172, because if she was at 170, she could have tied with Lindsay, and based on the body weight, Krista weighed in heavier, so she needs to make sure that she's setting herself up to chip what Lindsay has. Oh, and it just went back down to 170. So we've got Lisa with 115 kilos for her third attempt. Looks like she only made a small jump to that third attempt, trying to make sure secure that third pole. And unfortunately, that 5-pound jump was a little bit too much for her, but that was the smallest jump she could have made. So she knows that she really left everything out there today.
Yeah, we've got Donna coming back here, 150 kilos for her last pull.
And Lisa still was able to finish first place in that Masters 4 division with a 210 total. Eleanor finishing second, and Celeste following in third place.
Yeah, really good job by Donna there. 3 for 3 in the deadlift session. Had a shaky start to her day, just missing that opening squat, but really rebounded well. Only missed her last bench after that. So super clean, and congrats on a great day. We've got Deborah here with 152.5. Only missed a second bench that she retook and got, so 152 here. I mean, this would be 8 for 9. Yeah, I think a tough miss there. But overall, still a really good day. In everything she attempted, she only lost 2.5 kilos on that last pull right there. So, fantastic day for Deborah.
And a first place finish for Deborah in that Masters 370 kilo division. We've got Jennifer, 155 kilos, looking to up her total by 5 kilos. And if she gets this, she will remain in that 5th place position.
Yeah, good lift for Jennifer. Yeah, after missing her third squat and her third bench, I mean, it's pretty imperative to go 3 for 3. So just to feel good about that, last deadlift session, leaving the meet on a high note.
160 kilos for Michelle. She will be finishing in that 4th place position for the Masters 1 category. With a good lift for her. Again, one of those other lifters, she only missed out on that 3rd bench. Other than that, seems to have had a really good day so far. All right, Krista. We saw a couple attempt changes on Krista, so I wonder if she's second guessing herself on this 3rd deadlift. But I'm sure right now she's getting back into that headset to come out and crush this 170 kilo 3rd pole. Yeah, good lift for her. So it looks like she's now secured herself into that 2nd place position with 392.5 kilos. And then we've got Lindsay with 172.5.
Yeah, we've got our last 2 pulls here. So unfortunately a fail there by Lindsay. Got our last pull of session 1. Rachel taking 205 kilos on her 3rd pull. She already set a world record on her 2nd attempt. This just pushes that further by 7.5 kilos. Almost 3 times her body weight, folks. Crowd is getting loud.
We hear everyone in the crowd right now screaming for her. Oh, I guess unfortunately that was a fail on strength for Rachel, but she still did walk away with that record on her 2nd attempt.
Yeah, just a little much on the day, but I mean, fantastic day. Any day you set a world record, can't be a bad day.
All right, and that wraps up this session for us on both Platform 3 and Platform 4. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in and listening. Make sure to come back. Session 2 will be starting, I believe, at 1:30 today. So come back onto USAPL YouTube to stream that. Thank you guys again. My name is Katie DeGuider.
My name is Tong Hong.
All right.
And we appreciate you. Thank you.